Welcome to today's Lost Souls, where we bring you the most impactful and unforgettable stories from around the world. Today, we remember the lives of remarkable individuals whose legacies continue to inspire and resonate. From iconic musicians to trailblazing activists, join us as we celebrate their extraordinary contributions and bid farewell to those who have left an indelible mark on our lives. Stay tuned for a journey through their incredible stories.
McLain. Tommy McLain, a legendary figure in Louisiana swamp pop music, passed away peacefully on July 24, 2025. Born on March 15, 1940, in Jonesville, Louisiana, McLain's soulful tenor voice and bittersweet swamp pop style, which blended rhythm and blues, country, and Cajun influences, made him a beloved artist in American music. His music deeply resonated with fans and fellow musicians alike, and he leaves behind a rich legacy cherished by his family, friends, and listeners. That McLain's breakthrough came with the 1966 hit, Sweet Dreams, which climbed to number 15 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 chart and earned him a gold record after selling over 3 million copies. This song remains his signature track and embodies the emotional depth and heartfelt expression characteristic of swamp pop music. Over his career, McLain continued to create and perform, maintaining his status as a cherished music icon. Beyond his singing talents, McLain was a multi-instrumentalist, skilled in playing keyboards, drums, bass guitar, and fiddle. His musical versatility contributed to his distinctive sound and collaborations with other artists. Notably, he wrote the hit single, If You Don't Love Me Alone, Leave Me Alone, for Freddie Fender and worked alongside musicians such as Clint West. In 2007, McLain's contributions to music were recognized with his induction into the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. He was also honored by the Swedish Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Demonstrating his enduring passion, McLain released a comeback album in 2022 titled I Ran Down Every Dream, featuring collaborations with acclaimed musicians including Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe. McLain's influence extended into film, with an appearance in the Paul Newman movie The Drowning Pool, showcasing his multifaceted talents. He was a beloved father and grandfather, remembered for his gentle spirit, warmth, and dedication to his craft. His family expressed that while he will be deeply missed, the music he made will live on in the hearts and minds of fans worldwide, securing his legacy for generations to come. Cleo Laine. Cleo Laine, widely regarded as one of Britain's greatest jazz singers and a celebrated actress both in the UK and on Broadway, died peacefully at her home in Wavendon, England, on July 24, 2025. The announcement of her passing was made by the Stables, the British arts centre she co-founded with her late husband, renowned jazz musician John Dankworth. While the cause of death was not publicly disclosed, her death marks the end of a remarkable career that spanned over 8 decades and left an indelible mark on jazz and musical theater. Born in 1927 to an English mother and Jamaican father, Laine initially worked in various jobs including hairdressing, hat trimming, and librarianship before pursuing her dream of singing. At age 24 in 1951, she joined the band of John Dankworth, whom she married 7 years later. Their partnership was not only personal but artistic, with the couple collaborating extensively and remaining active in performance well into their 80s. Cleo Laine's voice was characterized by its distinctive husky contralto timbre and extraordinary 4-octave range, enabling her to masterfully perform jazz, pop, classical music, and scat singing. Her ability to seamlessly transition from deep, smoky lows to soaring highs earned praise from critics worldwide. Derek Jewell of the London Sunday Times hailed her as quite simply the best singer in the world in the 1970s, while American critics lamented that she did not receive the same level of popular acclaim in the U.S. as contemporaries like Barbra Streisand or Ella Fitzgerald. Despite her unique vocal power, her illustrious career included multiple Grammy nominations and a Tony Award nomination in 1986 for her performance as Princess Puffer in the musical The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Laine's versatility extended to opera and film, and she was known for performing complex works by composers such as Kurt Weill and Arnold Schoenberg, as well as portraying roles like God in Benjamin Britten's opera Noise Floody. In 1997, she was honored as the first British jazz artist to be made a dame. Recognizing her contributions to music and culture, Laine's dedication to the arts extended beyond performance. She was committed to fostering access to music for young people and was actively involved with the Stables as life president. Her artistic legacy is marked by her pioneering role in British jazz, her collaborations with jazz legends such as Frank Sinatra and Ray Charles, and her influence on generations of vocalists. She leaves behind her children Jackie and Alec Dankworth, who confirmed her passing, and a global community of admirers who celebrated her warmth, talent, and indomitable spirit. Cleo Laine's passing represents the loss of a true national treasure, whose voice and artistry transcended genres and generations, securing her place as a towering figure in the history of jazz and musical theater. Amalia Macías. Amalia Macías, the celebrated Mexican singer and actress renowned for her contributions to ranchera music and Mexican cinema, died peacefully on July 24, 2025, in Leon, Guanajuato. Born on March 22, 1934, in Irapuato, Guanajuato, Macías began her journey in the arts at the tender age of 13 when she won an amateur singing contest with her heartfelt rendition of Dos Arbolitos. This early triumph marked the start of her enduring connection to Mexican music and performance. Encouraged by the legendary singer Luis Perez Meza, Macías moved to Mexico City, overcoming familial resistance to pursue a professional career. Supported by the well-known quartet Los Tecalines, she secured a recording contract with Peerless Records. Her debut single, Si Volviera a Nacer, was a hit that launched her into the national spotlight, securing her presence on radio and extensive tours across Mexico. She made notable television appearances alongside contemporaries such as Irma Serrano and Lucha Moreno, further cementing her place in the entertainment world. In addition to her music career, Macías also appeared in Mexican cinema, starring in the 1974 film El Tigre de Santa Julia, where she sang several songs, showcasing her dual talents as a singer and actress. Her artistic reach extended internationally when in 1982 she financed and led a tour through Spain with the Mariachi Mexico 70, presenting the richness of Mexican music to European audiences. This European tour was promoted on Mexican television by journalist Jacobo Zabludovsky and included performances in major Spanish cities like Bilbao, Madrid, Barcelona, and Marbella. Throughout her life, Macías remained a dedicated ambassador of ranchera music, a genre deeply tied to Mexican identity and culture, known for its emotive vocals and storytelling. Even in her later years, she continued to perform occasionally, maintaining her connection to her fans and the traditions of Mexican music. Macías leaves behind a legacy characterized by her passionate devotion to Mexican ranchera music, her pioneering spirit in sharing Mexican culture abroad, and a career that inspired many within and beyond Mexico. Her passing has been mourned by fans and fellow artists who remember her as a voice that carried the soul of Mexico worldwide. Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary frontman of Black Sabbath and a defining figure in the creation of heavy metal music, died on July 22, 2025. Born John Michael Osbourne in 1948 in Birmingham, England, he rose from humble beginnings to become a global icon known as the Prince of Darkness. Osbourne's pioneering role as the vocalist of Black Sabbath in the late 1960s and early 1970s helped shape the heavy metal genre with seminal albums like Black Sabbath, 1970, and Paranoid, 1970, which remain cornerstones of rock music. Osbourne became equally famous for his wild and theatrical stage antics, including infamously biting the head off a bat during a concert, an act that became emblematic of his controversial image. Despite occasional notoriety for such behavior, he retained a devoted fan base and was celebrated for his distinctive voice and dramatic, dark lyrical themes. After being fired from Black Sabbath in 1979, Osbourne launched a highly successful solo career, releasing albums such as Blizzard of Oz with hits like Crazy Train. He released 13 platinum albums as a solo artist and maintained a significant influence on rock music across decades. Later in life, Osbourne embraced a new form of fame through the MTV reality series The Osbournes, which showed a more humorous, human side of the rock star as a devoted family man. This series helped endear him to a broader audience beyond hard rock and metal fans. In his final years, Ozzy battled significant health issues, including a variant of Parkinsonism diagnosed in 2020, which severely impacted his mobility. Despite these challenges, he performed his last concert in early July 2025 in Birmingham, England, reuniting with the original Black Sabbath members for what was billed as a farewell show. Ozzy Osbourne died surrounded by his family, including his wife Sharon and their children, who requested privacy during this difficult time. His passing marks the end of an extraordinary era in rock music. His influence endures through his groundbreaking contributions to heavy metal and his larger-than-life persona. Chiel Montagne. Chiel Montagne, born Bert van Reenen on August 26, 1944, in Geest, Netherlands, was a renowned Dutch television presenter and radio DJ who passed away on July 24, 2025, from complications related to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. Montagne was widely recognized for his significant contributions to Dutch music broadcasting, particularly through his long-running television program Op Vol Toren, which aired for nearly 2 decades and featured many Dutch artists performing live with an audience. This program helped him become a prominent figure and a beloved icon in the Netherlands music scene. Montagne's career began in 1963 as a disc jockey for the offshore radio station Radio Veronica, where he adopted the pseudonym Chiel Montagne. In 1971, he transitioned to television with Op Los Groeven, later renamed Op Vol Toren, a show devoted to Dutch music and culture. His charismatic presenting style and distinctive mustache made him instantly recognizable, and in 1999, he was even named Mustache of the Year in the Netherlands. Aside from presenting, Montagne was also deeply involved in music production. In 1974, he founded the Dutch Music Center, DMC, studio in Barn, where numerous Dutch and international artists recorded their work. He also founded his own broadcaster, Montagne Omroep Nederland, MON, in 2003, with the aim of promoting Dutch music, though it ultimately did not launch due to insufficient membership. Throughout his life, Montagne championed Dutch music and culture, helping to elevate many local artists. Later in his career, he ventured into acting, with roles such as an officer in the 2008 film I Love Dries. His dedication and impact were recognized in 2010 when he was made a Knight of the Order of Orange Nassau. One of the Netherlands' highest honors. Montagne's legacy is marked by his passionate advocacy for Dutch music, his warm and engaging media presence, and his lifelong devotion to entertaining and educating audiences about the rich heritage of the Netherlands music scene. His death is mourned by colleagues, artists, and fans who remember him as a charismatic and influential figure. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen was born Carlos Erwin Estaves on September 3, 1965 at New York Hospital, the youngest son of actor Ramon Antonio Gerardo Estaves, better known as Martin Sheen, and art student Janet Templeton. From the outset, Charlie's life was shaped by a household steeped in performance and activism. His father had just made waves on Broadway, and the subject was roses, and soon the family settled in Malibu amid the tide pools and film sets of 1970s. California. Charlie grew up third among 4 siblings, Elio, Ramon, and Renee, all destined for show business. At St. Martin of Tours School, he improvised playground sketches, coring classmates into homemade epics shot on a clunky Super 8 camera. When Martin invited him to the set of the execution of Private Slavic, the 9-year-old watched explosions bloom against plywood facades and decided movies were magic he could master. Surf mornings at Zuma, Little League evenings coached by Janet, and nights studying noir classics colored his youth. Yet turbulence lurked. Martin's political protests drew unwanted attention, and his frequent absences left the kids grappling with fame's double edge. The family's Catholic faith offered stability, but Charlie's curiosity often outran catechism. At Santa Monica High School, he befriended Rob Lowe and Sean Penn, forming an unofficial film club that traded homework for storyboards. Under the banner PennFest, they shot 8 mils in garages, Charlie handling camera angles and pep talks alike. He thrived behind and in front of the lens, but academics suffered. Latin declinians felt trivial compared with perfecting a Dutch tilt. Baseball vied with acting for his devotion. A muscular right-hander with a wicked curve, he dreamed of the majors until pranks and truancy cost him roster spots. In 1983, weeks before graduation, poor grades and chronic absences led to expulsion. Instead of a diploma, he left with reels of footage and the conviction that Hollywood, not college, would be his classroom. He adopted the stage name Charlie Sheen, splicing his uncle's nickname with his father's professional surname, a bridge between homage and independence. He moved into a cramped West Hollywood apartment with Aleo, living on burritos and belief. Acting lessons with revered coach Peggy Fury sharpened his instinct for emotional truth. When auditions stalled, he parked cars, bussed tables, and logged characters for future scripts. Family support remained decisive. Martin financed headshot, Janet mailed cookies and handwritten prayers, and siblings shared casting intel. A SAG card followed a bit role in Red Dawn, and talent manager Mark Berg flagged his unforced charisma. The influence of his father's craft was impossible to escape. Dinner talk revolved around script rewrites. Afternoons meant sitting silently in post-production bays while Martin looped ADR lines. Charlie absorbed the jargon, coverage stakes inner objective well before he memorized state capitals. Teachers alternately praised his charm and reprimanded his recklessness, noting a boy who could quote Churchill yet idolize relief pitcher Goose Goss. Tragedy brushed the edges of this adolescence. During a family vacation in 1977, a boating accident left Martin with a fractured jaw and broken shoulder, jolting the children into confronting mortality. Charlie, ever observant, noted his father's vulnerability and vowed to make every day count. By 17, he was sneaking into projection rooms, offering to splice trailers in exchange for free admission, memorizing the rhythmic snap of 35 emits through a gate, and marveling that his father had nearly died filming Apocalypse Now in the Philippine jungle. That chain of near-mythic family lore fired Charlie's conviction that acting was a high-stakes adventure rather than a polite profession. Thus ended the boyhood of Charlie Sheen, equal parts sun-drenched California daydream and combustible proving ground. Charlie's ascent began in 1984 with a supporting turn in Red Dawn. 2 years later, Oliver Stone cast him as the wide-eyed Private Chris Taylor in Platoon, a role that helped the film capture Best Picture and branded Sheen as Hollywood's next serious leading man. Stone doubled down with Wall Street, 1987, where Sheen's Bud Fox, torn between conscience and greed, became the moral hinge of an era-defining classic that still screens in business ethics classes. Versatility followed. He joined the Outlaw Ensemble in Young Guns 1988 and then stole ballparks as Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn in Major League 1989. Leather mohawk and a 100m fastball turned Vaughn into a folk hero whose walk-on music blares in stadiums to this day. Sheen's knack for parody surfaced in Jim Abraham's Hot Shot series 1991-1993, where his deadpan bravado broadened his fan base, while showcasing deft comic timing. Dramatic cred stayed sharp through The Rookie opposite Clint Eastwood in Cadence. Directed by his father Martin Sheen. When late 9's box office numbers dipped, television offered reinvention, replacing Michael J. Fox on Spin City. 2000 earned Sheen a Golden Globe and refreshed his sitcom credentials. That momentum launched CBS's 2.5 Men 2003, where Jinglu writer Charlie Harper's Bachelor antics dominated primetime. Weekly audiences topped 15 million, and by 2010 Sheen's per-episode paycheck neared $2 million, a record that reset industry salary ceilings. For Emmy nominations, 2 Golden Globe nods, and the Zeitgeist seizing mantra-winning crowned his sitcom reign. Even at his television peak, Sheen explored genre detours, sci-fi thriller, The Arrival, Navy action and Navy SEALs, and voice work. For All Dogs Go to Heaven. 2 cameos on Friends being John Malkovich, and Scary Movie 3 proved he could lampoon himself with gusto. Production of 2.5 Men halted in 2011 amid contract clashes and personal turbulence. Yet syndication revenues remain among the richest in TV history. He rebounded with FX's Anger Management 2012-2014, securing back-end ownership that guarantees residual dividends. Supporting turns in 8 Men Out as Happy Felch and Cult Racer. The Wraith widened his range while midnight favorites like Terminal Velocity and The Chase demonstrated that his charisma cushions thin plots. Documentary narration for National Geographic added unexpected gravitas. His unprecedented sitcom payday, about $40 million during the 2010 season, when back-end points were counted, became a benchmark for future ensemble negotiations. Brief appearances made noise. 2.30-con stint as a police station detainee in Ferris Bueller's Day Off birthed a pre-in meme, and his sly entrance in Money Talks opposite Chris Tucker showed he could electrify a scene with one raised eyebrow. Critics compare his instinctive timing to a West Coast Jack Lemmon with a surfer's grin. While Oscars remain elusive, Sheen holds an Alma Award, 2 SAG nods, and a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Directors from John Sayles to Roman Coppola praise his ability to elevate co-stars, evident in the bullpen banter of Major League and the sibling spark of Young Guns. Even amidst final season friction on 2.5 Men, crew members said his near-perfect line recalls saved hours of shooting. Across more than 60 films and 9 television series, he has stayed in public conversation through sheer versatility and fearless energy. In the end, Charlie Sheen's career highlights map a Hollywood roller coaster. Vaulting climbs, sudden dips, and always another curve that keeps the ride thrilling and unpredictable. Charlie's physical and mental health story is a saga of extremes. Peaks of athletic vigor punctuated by spirals of addiction, injury, and ultimately chronic disease. Early in his career, the same intensity that enlivened his performances spilled into off-camera life. Shooting Platoon in the Philippine jungle, he endured 120 degrees humidity, trench foot, and recurring malaria scares. Back in Los Angeles, he developed asthma-like bronchial issues that would trail him for decades. On the Young Guns set, he shattered an ankle after vaulting from a corral fence during an unscripted prank, a fracture that required 2 surgeries and introduced him to prescription painkillers. The 1990s escalated into a carousel of substance use. Cocaine binges, alcohol marathons, and late-night club crawls became almost routine. Between 1995 and 1998, he entered rehab 3 times, each stint lauded by publicists as a fresh start. Friends recall him emerging pale and determined, only to relapse amid the Hollywood nightlife he called his natural habitat. The cycle battered his immune system, leaving him susceptible to bronchitis and pneumonia, and weight fluctuations of 20 lbs were common between projects. By the early 2000s, the occupational hazard of sitcom stardom, long hours fueled by studio catering, collided with lingering substance cravings. While filming 2.5 Men, he was twice hospitalized for dehydration and once for esophageal varices linked to heavy drinking. Doctors cautioned that his liver enzymes were climbing, and he publicly vowed sobriety, crediting his newborn twin sons for the resolve. He remained off alcohol for nearly 2 years, focusing on cardio workouts and a lean, high-protein diet overseen by a personal chef, even completing the Malibu Triathlon in 2008. Yet high-profile relapses followed. In 2010, a flurry of emergency room visits, lacerated esophagus, severe abdominal pain, and a notorious Plaza Hotel incident signaled deeper crisis. Psychiatrists later framed his manic stream of consciousness interviews as classic hypomanic episodes, possibly triggered by a combination of stimulant use and untreated bipolar tendencies. During one stretch, he reportedly slept no more than 3 hours a night, subsisting on nicotine gum and energy drinks while delivering flawless table reads at 9 a.m. call times. The most profound revelation arrived in November 2015 when Sheen disclosed that he had been living with HIV since 2011. According to his own account, doctors caught the virus early and he immediately began antiretroviral therapy. Initial side effects, night sweats, nausea, neuropathic pain were brutal. But within 6 months, his viral load reached undetectable levels. He became a vocal proponent of undetectable equals untransmittable, advocating for routine testing and destigmatized conversation. He credits the regimen with forcing discipline, strict pill schedules, quarterly blood panels, and an unexpected admiration for routine. Simultaneously, he adopted a holistic support system, daily yoga, transcendental meditation, and sessions, with a nutritionist who banished processed sugar from his kitchen. He quit cigarettes after 3 decades via gradual nicotine tapering, replacing the habit with eucalyptus-slicked inhalers that freshened studio air. Blood pressure stabilized. Cholesterol levels dropped, and remarkably, he found room to laugh at the irony. "I had to get deadly serious to stay alive," he quipped on an AIDS awareness webcast. Still, ongoing challenges persist. Arthritic pain from decades-old injuries flares during cold weather managed with physical therapy and non-opioid analgesics. He remains at elevated risk for opportunistic infections and cardiovascular complications tied to long-term antiretroviral use. Mindful of these risks, Sheen schedules annual full-body scans and cardiac stress tests. He cites his children as accountability anchors, sporting color-coded phone alarms that chime when it's time for meds, school pickups, or simply hydrating. Recovery, for Charlie, is a moving target, less a finish line than a disciplined waltz between vigilance and self-forgiveness. In interviews, he now speaks of quiet victories. A normal A1C score, a calm morning surf at Malibu without paparazzi, a birthday spent sober in Big Sur. He mentors newly diagnosed HIV-positive patients through private video chats, framing their first months on medication as the steepest but most crucial ascent. Through all the bruises, broken bones, and viral battles, Sheen's resilience stems from a paradoxical cocktail of ego and empathy. The belief that his life still matters on a stage larger than ratings, and the recognition that survival is a collaborative sport. If earlier decades were marked by reckless acceleration, this chapter emphasizes throttle control, knowing when to sprint, when to idle, and when to pull into the garage for recalibration. His health journey, while far from linear, illustrates the cost of fame colliding with human frailty and the possibility of renewing one's contract with life even after the harshest plot twists. Loss has shadowed Charlie Sheen since childhood. In 1974, the death of his grandmother, Marianne Estavas, shattered his sense of an invincible family. He remembers gripping his father's hand at the funeral, feeling adult tears splash his knuckles. Friendship grief arrived early. Corey Hay, bonded to Charlie during Lucas, struggled for years with addiction. Charlie's late-night calls and rehab lists never stemmed the slide. And when Hay died in 2010, the guilt felt rehearsed that he still keeps their on-set Polaroid in a script binder as a reminder to answer the phone when troubled friends reach out. Romantic turbulence became tabloid fodder. A 1995 engagement to Kelly Preston ended after an accidental gun discharge injured her wrist. His 1996 marriage to Donna Peel dissolved within a year when Heidi F.Lee's client ledger surfaced. The 2006 divorce from Denise Richards erupted into a custody battle over daughters Sam and Lola, turning birthdays into court-approved negotiations. On Christmas 2009, a dispute with third wife Brooke Mueller ended in arrest and a restraining order that kept him 50 yards from his infant sons for months. Family health scares compounded sorrow. Janet Sheen survived lung cancer in 2003, and Martin underwent quadruple bypass surgery the same year. Charlie vowed sobriety, held it for months, then relapsed. Each slip layering fresh guilt at top growing concern. Losing his $2.5 million job in 2011 cost not just a record paycheck, but a surrogate family of writers and crew. Studio gates that once saluted him now required paperwork, and Tiger Blood became late-night shorter-than for his implosion. The reputational free fall felt, in his words, like watching my name detach from my shadow. His 2015 HIV revelation traded secrecy for stigma. Paparazzi staked out clinics, insurers hiked production premiums, and a longtime golfing buddy disappeared. Charlie reframed the desertions as nature's audit, keeping only voices that helped, not hollow echoes. Extended family grief resurfaced when Aunt Carmen died of breast cancer in 2008. Charlie had promised to drive her to treatments, but relapsed and missed several appointments. He left a sobriety chip on her coffin, then relapsed again weeks later. Proof that regret can be recursive. Career opportunities slipped away. A lead in Men in Black ceded to rehab. A rumored Tarantino project lost to legal woes. A Broadway offer withdrawn when insurance bulked after his HIV disclosure. He keeps the withdrawal letter framed with next scrolled in red marker. The deepest loss may be self-rust. Years of broken promises to partners. Children himself left scar tissue on confidence. Therapy, mindfulness, and nightly gratitude lists aim to rebuild. Faith item by item. Took meds on time. Called dad, did not tweet at 3 a.m., yet every fracture has seeded reconciliation that he co-parents amicably with Denise Richards, supports Brooke Mueller's sobriety, and calls Martin nightly to trade baseball trivia and spiritual reflections. Mentoring. Newly diagnosed HIV-positive patients online gives loss a constructive outlet. Cassandra, his eldest, left for college in 2002 amid the Richards divorce. Charlie mailed her postcards sketched during court recesses, cartoons of penguins surfing and a father waving from shore, trying to prove presence across distance. She later invited him to speak at her campus film club, and that evening, he noted perhaps redemption begins at a Q&A. Grief also came wearing betrayal's clothes when a former assistant sold medical records to a tabloid. Charlie sued and won, yet the breach underscored how vulnerability becomes merchandise when your life is a household name. Social media has proved both mercy and minefield. He closed his incendiary 2011 Twitter account, reopening it later for measured advocacy. I lost 1 million followers overnight, he jokes, but I kept the ones with patience. Threads now highlight safe sex campaigns and sober anniversaries. Each tweet signed with a blue heart emoji suggested by daughter Lola. Charlie now views his catalog of losses, death, divorce, custody wars, money drains, reputation bruises as tuition toward humility. Quoting Hemingway, he says, "Life breaks us all. Some grow strong at the broken places." For Sheen, the broken places form a map toward steadier ground. Charlie Sheen today is a quieter, more deliberate figure than the headline magnate of a decade ago. Now in his late 50s, he splits his time between a low-slung Spanish-style home in Malibu and a modest condominium in Sherman Oaks that doubles as an editing suite and podcast studio. Mornings begin before sunrise with coastal walks, earbuds, piping, classic rock, and a double espresso prepared on a battered stove-top mocha pot he claims has traveled to every set since Platoon. Professionally, Sheen has embraced what he calls the boutique chapter of his career. Rather than chasing blockbuster leads, he curates limited projects that mesh with his schedule and values. In 2022, he executive produced The Pitch, a streaming dramedy about minor league baseball scouts, contributing script punch-ups, and a cameo as the teams washed up closer. The show earned solid reviews, and more importantly to Sheen, provided writing gigs for 2 former 2.5 Men staffers he felt Hollywood had overlooked. He has also lent his voice to a trio of animated public service shorts promoting HIV awareness in high school health classes, slipping wry humor between facts and percentages to keep teenagers listening. Finances, once ravaged by legal fees and extravagant tastes, are now managed through a family trust overseen by a sober companion turned business advisor named Garrett. Syndication checks from 2.5 Men still arrive quarterly. Most go straight into college funds for his 5 children. Charlie lives on a self-imposed per diem for life budget, a fixed weekly allowance that covers groceries, surfboard wax, and the occasional collector's edition baseball card. He jokes that after years of rolling in Benzes, nothing feels better than paying cash for a used hybrid SUV. Fatherhood dominates his narrative. Daughters Sam and Lola visit on alternating weekends. Twin sons, Bob and Max, skateboard the cul-de-sac when school breaks permit, while eldest Cassandra often FaceTimes from her own young family's backyard. Sheen tracks report card dates in the same leather planner that once cataloged film pitches, proudly brandishing a neon sticker reading, "A Dad First." He still writes bedtime stories, these days emailed as PDFs with embedded doodles, continuing a ritual born during custody skirmishes. Health remains a structured priority. His HIV remains undetectable thanks to a strict antiretroviral regimen, followed by weekly vitamin infusion therapy. 3 nights a week, he practices hot yoga, joking that the studio's 105 degrees heat reminds my joints what Platoon felt like. Alcohol has no place in the house. Mocktail mixology instead supplies a creative flourish when friends gather to watch Dodgers games. On the 11th of every month, he tweets a simple UU alongside a blue heart, syncing with global campaigns to normalize HIV discourse. Public speaking circuits have welcomed him as a voice of candor on recovery and resilience. His 2023 TEDx Talk, Surviving Your Own Story, traced the arc from tabloid Caricature to self, Steward, peppered with jokes about tiger blood metaphors he now finds cringeworthy. Viewed millions of times, the talk reintroduced Charlie as a reflective, sometimes self-deprecating storyteller. University lecture halls followed suit that he donates honoraria to two charities, Project Angel Food and the UCLA Center for HIV Identification. Social media presence is measured. One Instagram post per week, usually a sunset, a surfing snapshot, or a behind-the-scenes glance. At script annotations, Twitter, once the arena for manic rants, is now a curated feed amplifying mental health resources and minor league baseball highlights. He refuses sponsored content deals, explaining that his brand sold enough chaos. Now it sells calm. Creatively, Sheen keeps a trove of half-finished screenplays in a cloud folder labeled Sandbox. Current Obsession, a dark comedy about a retired pitcher mentoring a high school girls team co-written with his daughter Sam. Hollywood interest is tentative, but genuine. Streaming platforms appreciate the built-in narrative of a man reclaiming his past on screen. Charlie insists any deal must include internship slots for students from communities affected by HIV. Relationships have shifted from romantic spectacle to private companionship. Since 2021, he has dated a Malibu ceramicist named Leah, whose aversion to red carpets suits his own. Friends note the absence of paparazzi outside local cafes. Photographers once guaranteed a circus find little market for snapshots of afternoon pottery classes. Philanthropy, formerly a footnote, is formalized through the Sheen Resilience Initiative, launched in 2024. The foundation funds mental health counseling for entertainment industry workers and sponsors baseball clinics in underserved Los Angeles neighborhoods. Opening day of the inaugural Wild Thing Classic saw Charlie toss the ceremonial first pitch, still a respectable 84 mirror, while sporting his old Cleveland jersey, sleeves now tattooed with his children's initials. In entertainment, journalism, his narrative has cooled from scandal to redemption arc. Trade magazines toot his consulting work on sitcom pilots, praising an actor's intuition for punchlines that survive network notes. When asked if he misses leading man status, he replies that he traded star trailers for a 12-step sponsor's phone number and will never reverse the swap. Looking ahead, Sheen sketches a 10-year plan centered on writing, voice acting, and expanding the initiative's reach. He imagines himself at 65, silver-bearded, teaching a master class titled Timing on Camera. And in life, convinced that the beats separating words are as crucial as the words themselves. Until then, one can find him on Zuma's Early Tide, balanced on a longboard, horizon taut with possibility, still riding waves, just with better aim toward shore. Today, Charlie Sheen stands as both cautionary tale and proof that redemption rarely runs in straight lines. Fans who once tuned in for his televised meltdowns now glimpse a reflective artist intent on converting notoriety into usefulness. Each appearance, whether on a podcast or at a Little League fundraiser, feels like an audition for a new role. Elder statesman of second chances, young actors now consult him on negotiating fame. His low-key guidance has earned quiet respect. Creatively, he is drafting a memoir called Half-Life, structured like a screenplay. Acts, beats, camera notes because he jokes. I learned truth through blocking. Publishers circle, yet he refuses to sign until he secures 10 consecutive years of sobriety. A cliffhanger he is still writing. Philanthropy widens through the Sheen Resilience Initiative, which funds mobile HIV testing vans at music festivals and mental health counselors for film crews. Early results show lower dropout rates among below-the-line workers, prompting studios to consider adopting the model across the industry. Family Sundays in Malibu now gather 3 generations around a no-phones rule. Conversation ranges from Emilio's indie shoot to Cassandra's toddler chanting grandpa. Charlie, once notorious for skipping holidays, now smokes the turkey himself, tending wood coals with the intensity he once devoted to story arcs that he dreams of directing a modest feature set entirely on a nightlit baseball diamond, finding focus when everything around you is dark. If it films, the premiere will be at a neighborhood drive-in rather than a red carpet gala. Proof of allegiance to audiences over accolades. Asked what epitaph he prefers, Charlie answers without hesitation. He got back up. For a man who rode fame's roller coaster at breakneck speed, the legacy he now courts measures not in box office totals, but in being the steady hand someone can call amid their own plot twists. Through that daily commitment to kin, to health, to honest dialogue, Charlie Sheen keeps writing the most compelling script of his life. One choice, one line, one dawn at a time. Entertainment outlets that once covered every stumble now spotlight his regular HIV awareness tweets and impromptu readings at community theaters. Even late-night hosts, once quick with Sheen jokes, invite him back to discuss resilience rather than scandal. At dusk, he still walks Zuma Beach, tracing the shoreline while dictating dialogue into a voice memo. Waves erase his footprints, but the recording captures every revision. A fitting metaphor for a man who knows the past cannot be edited, yet future pages remain.